All right, people, so we're going to start illustrating our low poly animals. First thing you have to do is open it in GRAVIT, and then make sure your reference image is in there and your subject is nice and big. My reference image was actually kind of small for my composition, so I'm just going to grab the handles and hold down Shift again just to enlarge it a little bit. It is going to be a little bit nicer if your subject is large. Again, you don't have to worry about the backgrounds. You're going to make your own background later. So once you have your reference image in there and it's placed where you want it, you want to go ahead and just lock the layer. And then you're going to zoom in just a little bit. And the idea for today is to create medium-sized shapes and fill them over your animal. So you grab the pen tool. And remember, you're not clicking and dragging, but you are just clicking points. So you can make a shape with angles, and then it'll automatically fill with that gray color. And you toggle off the visibility, and then sample a color with the color picker from within that shape. And then it all fills that color. You don't want borders, so you're going to have to delete the borders. If you just go and hit toggle the visibility, then the next time you go and make a shape, it's going to still have that border. So to save yourself a little bit of time, delete the border just by clicking next to the color picker right here to highlight it, and then trashing it with the trash can. If you want to make like any adjustments, you can just switch back to the select tool or the pointer tool or even the sub select tool and move the anchor points around if you want. But again, that's the whole process. Use the pen tool and click out a shape. You can like follow lines along, edges of, feet or like the shell. Click off of the visibility, use the color picker, and pick a color from within the shape that you just created. Polygon shapes, this can be kind of rough. You'll have opportunities to make smaller shapes in future lessons. And again, you do not need to worry about the gaps in between the shapes. If you want to be like really pro about it, you can go and try to get these to like interlock. That's great, but there's also some easy ways that I can show you to fill those gaps later. And it can be kind of frustrating to get everything to work out if you're getting them to be right next to each other and interlock like that. I'm not sure if this is technically the right way to do real low poly. They don't usually have gaps, but this is the way I do it. I get really frustrated by trying to get them to interlock. So I'll just go around and leave gaps, and that's fine. So hopefully you get the point. It's a little redundant, but this is time we just put on some fun music and do the same thing to create shapes. So you make a shape, and then don't forget to like toggle the visibility and then sample a new color. So each one of these shapes is really like a unique color. Don't let yourself fall in the habit of like doing this and like making a shape and then making another shape with the same color, and then it doesn't have kind of that color variation that's more fun and looks better. So again, if you forgot to do that, you just go back and hit the pointer tool, toggle the visibility, sample a color from within the shape. So you should be able to roughly go over your whole animal, making these large to medium shapes. If there's like lots of detail, you kind of have to pick and choose what detail you want to capture. I'll tell you right now, you're going to want to detail the face, the eyes, and spend a little bit more time on that. But again, I'm going to give you another few days to do like smaller shapes on top of these medium-sized shapes. So don't necessarily, spend hours and hours and hours getting all the little tiny details. You can just go and make medium-sized shapes for this lesson. like I'm doing right now. And like I said, in future lessons, I'll we can zoom in and like get the face with a lot smaller shapes. So for today's lesson, you want to, cover just your animal's body with these large, medium shapes. Here's a good example. If you want, you can toggle off the photo layer so you can see kind of what it looks like. Right. The other thing I'm going to have you do in the coming lessons is group all the medium-sized shapes. So like what I did right here was I took all of these shapes. Here, I can do it on this one. So with the select tool, we're just going to select all those shapes like that and put them in their own group and go Command G. And that way when we go back and we make smaller shapes on top of them, we'll put those in their own group as well. And it just kind of cleans up the layers palette right here. Here I have some other examples of what you should be able to like get done today. This is my shark. Again, these are like medium shapes throughout my shark. I left out these teeth just because they're kind of complicated. If there's areas that are complicated within your animal, you can save them for when we do smaller shapes on coming days. Like right here, I went in and did like all these small shapes, and that can be time consuming and tedious, but I'm going to give you a whole another 2-day lesson to get the smaller shapes in. Yeah, I might have another one. Here's my giraffe. Again, these are like pretty medium-sized shapes, and then later on we will talk about like smaller shapes. This is like really, really teeny tiny shapes. I wouldn't recommend doing that. That's really tedious. But you kind of get the idea that we're going to layer smaller shapes on top of the medium-sized shapes, and then I'll show you the options for filling in the gaps between with either larger shapes or some of the other tricks that I have for you. Hope this helps. Let me know how this is going for you if you have any issues with this. I'm excited to see what you're able to do with this style of, creating low poly artwork just with the pen tool. Click out a shape, follow the lines of your animal. Don't forget to delete the borders, and then toggle the visibility off, and then sample a color from within that shape.